Hi, it's time for another verb of the day. Today's verb is glitter, and this verb was suggested by the viewer Artem. Artem, thank you so much for this suggestion. Now, let's take a moment and review some of the definitions or ways that we can use this verb. The first way we might encounter the verb glitter can mean to shine with a bright, shimmering, reflected light. Now, Artem's suggestion comes after we've had a number of verbs where we've talked about things twinkling, reflecting off. Glisten was another recent one, and this first definition is very much connected to those. So we're kind of talking about light sparkling off and reflecting off some surface. Now, a second way you can use the verb glitter can mean to shine due to a strong feeling. So sometimes, as you read stories, you might hear of a particular character's eyes glittering with some type of strong emotion. Could be positive or negative. Now, a third way you may encounter the verb glitter can mean to be brilliantly attractive, lavish, or spectacular. So we might think of something very new being built that's really perhaps impressive. It might look very shiny, very expensive. Those qualities tend to exist when we're using that third definition. For now, you should know that glitter is a regular verb. If you want to make the progressive form of this verb, all you need to do is add ing, and that forms glittering. The past tense and the participle form of our verb can be made by just adding ed. Now, the base verb, glitter, ends in a voiced R sound. This means when I add the ed ending, I'm just going to make a D sound, and I'm not going to add an extra syllable as I say it. The past tense and the participle form of the verb should sound like this: glittered, glittered. Okay. Now, there is one phrasal verb that we can discuss, and that is to glitter with. This particular phrasal verb generally means something is shimmering or twinkling with something else. So this really is going back to that first definition. Maybe we have some type of light reflecting off, but it's kind of causing the light to bounce and create those particular effects. So an example of this might be, her dress glittered with sequins. This is a specific type of thing that is meant to sort of have light reflect off of it and kind of give that shimmer or shine effect. Now, let's continue to use our verb of the day in a couple different verb tenses. We'll practice the simple present and the simple future. Let's start with the simple present. We use this verb tense to talk about our habits and routines. We can also use it to discuss facts. Now, when we go to make sentences in the simple present, we must pay attention to our subject. In the affirmative, if our subject is I, you, we, or they, then we just use the base verb. So no special endings or suffixes on the verb. However, if our subject is he, she, or it, then we need to add an S to the end of the verb. And you can see that in my example here. The company's new headquarters glitters in comparison to other similarly sized organizations. So here we're talking about maybe a building or set of buildings, could be a campus here. And we're really going back to that third definition where we're describing something that might be quite lavish. Kind of think of shiny and new. Now let's talk about making a sentence in the negative. Again, I've got to pay attention to my subject. If the subject is I, you, we, or they, we'll use do not and then the base verb. If our subject is he, she, or it, though, we should use does not and then the base verb. Here's another example. He dresses very plainly. His clothes don't glitter with embellishments. Here we have none of that kind of shimmery type of clothing, right? Think kind of solid colors, very basic things. Now let's look at making a yes or no question in the simple present. To do this, start with do, then we're going to have a do or does, whatever form matches our subject, right? The subject comes next, then use the base verb. Here's my last simple present examples. Do their eyes glitter with excitement very often? Right? There's an example of that second definition where we're talking about sort of how a strong emotion might be reflected in someone's eyes. Now, I hope you'll notice in the negative and in the yes or no question, we were not adding an S to the end of our verb. Okay, we're only doing that in the simple present with the affirmative if the subject is he, she, or it. Now let's move on and talk about the simple future. We are, we actually, I should say, have many ways to talk about actions that may occur in the future, and will is one of those ways. It's most commonly used as people make predictions, so kind of a guess about what they think will happen. You can also hear it with promises and offers, and to a lesser extent, it is used to discuss plans. The nice thing about making sentences in the simple future with will is that our structure stays the same no matter what our subject is. So in the affirmative, we'll have our subject, we'll have will, and then the base verb. Here's another example. The theme park will glitter up its attractions to create a winter wonderland. Okay. Saw this in a press release announcing some big plans for sort of making things look shiny and sparkly, have lots of lighting effects to get people excited. Even 6 months away about visiting this particular place during the winter holiday season. So you can see will and glitter there. Now, let's move on and look at a sentence in the negative here. To do this, again, we start with our subject, we use will not, and then our base verb. The contraction for will not is won't, W-O-N apostrophe T. We are getting a long O sound there. I know sometimes that can be difficult. An example of this might be, this gem won't glitter without a lot of polishing, right? So trying to clean it up, right, and that's what's going to allow light to reflect and cause that particular effect. Now let's look at making a yes or no question in the simple future. To do this, start with will, then you'll have your subject, and then the base verb. Here's the last example. Will those crystals glitter and glisten in the light? Right, so here maybe I'm asking someone to make either a prediction or a promise before I purchase something. Now let's move on and continue to talk about some related words. Our first related word to the verb glitter is just the noun form of this word. The noun glitter has the exact same spelling and the exact same pronunciation as our verb. Just like our verb, we've got 3 different ways we can use this noun. The first way to use the noun is to refer to a bright and shimmering reflected light. An example of this meaning in a sentence could be, the glitter coming off the water made for picturesque scenery. Right? So we can kind of imagine light bouncing and creating that reflected, shimmery sort of effect. Now, a second way to use the noun glitter is to refer to very teeny tiny pieces of sparkling material that's commonly used for decoration. I've got a picture of glitter in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. Sometimes this is used in crafts, so people might use some glue on a particular surface and then take that item and kind of press it into the glitter to have it attach. It's now something you see a lot in cosmetics as well, and that actually connects to my example sentence here. California may ban plastic glitter in cosmetics in the near future. So I think this connects to maybe some potential health consequences or other negatives that are associated with it. you can probably, if you're a regular video viewer of my verb videos, you know I'm not one for a lot of makeup and certainly not one for glitter makeup, so a little out of my area of expertise. A third way, though, to use the noun glitter is to refer to an attractive and exciting but rather superficial quality. So, an example of this, the glitter of Hollywood lures many. So, that particular environment, things connected to movies and TV shows, may seem really attractive and exciting, but to some, say it's all about appearances, and maybe there's a lack of depth in certain places or with certain groups. Now let's move on, and I actually, should be an adjective. I'm sorry for my mistake here. The adjective glittery. So we've added that Y suffix there. And when I use that word as an adjective, I could be referring to reflecting a bright, shimmery light. So I'm describing something that has that quality. An example of that might be her glittery jewelry caught the eye of everyone, right? So maybe someone had a large quantity, or the way it was hitting the light made everybody kind of go like, whoa, let me check that out. Now, a second way you could use glittery is to refer to something that has been decorated with those tiny pieces of sparkling material. So we're back to that noun form of the word. An example of this might be the young dancers all begged for glittery costumes for their recital. So here, maybe they're wanting particular things that are going to give off that kind of shimmery, reflected light effect as they perform certain dances. One more phrase here for us to discuss, and that phrase is all that glitters is not gold. So you'll see this takes slightly different forms, but generally what this phrase means is that the attractive external appearance of something is not always a reliable indication of its true nature. So an example of this might be, while the cancer screening seemed promising, further results have shown that all that glitters is not gold. So here, maybe someone had some type of idea that was really exciting. Maybe it was going to be a breakthrough in testing and diagnosing cancer in earlier stages. But now we kind of realized, oh, it's not actually that good or that effective. Thanks again to Artem for suggesting today's verb. I thank you all for watching, and I hope you have a great day.